on the Padres Radio Network.
Jackson swings, hits it in the air, deep to right field. He has done it again. Unbelievable.
Coming up, we'll have a recap of the previous Padres game, a preview of today's starting pitching matchup, our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Mike Shildt.
Ultimately, what we're here to do is win.
From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today, the Padres take on the Arizona Diamondbacks in the second game of a three-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today on the mound for Arizona, right-hander Zach Allen, and for the Padres, right-hander Ryan Bergert. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios for pitch coming up at 4:15 p.m. Chase Field in Phoenix. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We hear from Ryan Bergert. I go one-on-one with today's starting pitcher. We also check in with Tony Gwynn Jr. in just a little bit, our keys to the game, and much, much more to come. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres entered today 38-30. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games. Diamondbacks enter 35-34. Arizona has won 4 in a row. They're 8-3 in their last 11. A win today would match the D-backs' longest winning streak of the season. Padres entered today sitting in 3rd place in the National League West. The Dodgers and Giants are now tied for 1st place. That's after San Francisco beat the Dodgers in LA last night. Padres in the midst of a very tough stretch right now. 26 games in 27 days. Today is game 2 of a 13-game in 13-day stretch, and Arizona sits 5.5 games out of 1st place beginning today. Let's rewind to our series opener last night.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Diamondback starter Ryan Nelson took the mound for Arizona in the top of the 1st inning. Fernando Tatis Jr. hit a leadoff double. Luis Arraez was next.
Third to throw. Here's the 0-1. Arraez swings again. Lines it into center. Thomas comes in. Now he's got to go back. Fernando going to tag right in his face. Second to third to throw. Not in time. Now it kicks away into foul territory. Fernando's on his way. He's going to score. Ugly from the D-backs. The pitcher, Nelson, was backing up third in foul territory, and he just didn't display a lot of urgency to go get the baseball. Fernando had the play in front of him, and he just kept on coming. It's 1-0.
So the Padres got a gift. They led 1-0 after the 1st inning. In the bottom of the 2nd, Stephen Kolek took the mound after a scoreless opening frame. Josh Naylor led off.
From the Guardians by the Diamondbacks in a late December trade. He swings at the first pitch and hammers it to right. Fernando at the wall, leaps up, can't get it. It's a home run. First pitch, 2nd inning for Josh Naylor, and he takes Stephen Kolek out. That'll tie the game 1-1.
We were still tied at 1 in the 3rd. Kolek got the first 2 outs. He then struck out Corbin Carroll on what would have ended the inning, but a pass ball by Elias Diaz allowed Carroll to reach. That was costly because Kolek then walked Ketel Marte. Geraldo Perdomo an RBI single. Arizona had a 2-1 lead. It was still 2-1 going to the bottom half of the 5th inning. It was Corbin Carroll who led off.
1-0. And Carroll hits it in the air the other way, deep to left field. Wade is back. He is on the warning track. He is at the wall. He jumps, and it's going to go. Home run, Corbin Carroll. Just over the fence into the first row. Tyler Wade went back, made a great effort, couldn't make the catch. 20th of the season for Corbin Carroll. And the Arizona lead is now 3-1.
The trouble continued for Kolek. A single, a double, a sac fly for Josh Naylor made it 4-1. An RBI single from Lourdes Gurriel Jr. made it 5-1. Both bullpens were really good. The Padres got scoreless outings from Sean Reynolds, Wandy Peralta, and David Morgan, but the Padres only had 2 base runners after the 3rd, a walk and a single. That was it. The final score yesterday in the series opener in Arizona, the Diamondbacks 5 and the Padres 1, and now the Padres will try to bounce back in game 2 of this 3-game series. First pitch coming up at 4:15. Let's go out to the desert.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Tony Gwynn Jr. in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, Tony, let's start with one of the positives from yesterday's game. Obviously, a disappointing night for the Padres offense. However, Fernando Tatis Jr. had 2 hits. He walked. He just missed a home run that would have been out of Petco Park. You look at his last 4 games. He's got 4 hits. He's got 5 walks. He's done some things on the bases. Are we perhaps seeing Fernando slowly but surely starting to come out of what has been a lengthy slump?
Hopefully, I think that is the hope. I think we saw some signs of that in the Dodgers series. I think we actually saw some signs of it the last day in Milwaukee. Him drawing some walks and finding his way on the base paths. So yeah, I'm hopeful. I think 5 games is a little too early to kind of proclaim that to be the case, but you certainly have to like the signs that you've seen from Toddy. Because it hasn't been as though even in those 4 hits that he has, it hasn't been as though he is, back to that explosive Toddy we saw early with the homers and the extra bases. It's just him finding a way on to the base paths. And I think that's a start to I think he has to go through that process before you can get to that type of Toddy again.
Tony, on a less positive note, obviously yesterday was a frustrating evening for the Padres offense. I'm going to get into some of the numbers a little bit later, but you zoom out here a little bit, and for a while it has not been great as a whole offensively. They showed some signs like Fernando did during the Dodgers series, but yesterday you could really pluck that game right out of that last road trip. You and Jesse alluded to that during the course of the broadcast last night. I guess my question is, what is your overall level of concern, or maybe not concern, about this offense right now, really, when you zoom out a little bit?
Yeah, I don't know that concern is the right word.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's concerning in terms of that offense is not – we've seen this offense a lot better, and it hasn't been there. But I don't know if I have long-term concern about the Padres. I think in the moment it's not fun to go through, and as long as you're finding ways to win, as we've seen this Padre team do at times, you're okay with it. It's when you've had a couple of losses in a row that you start to have this conversation of, the offense not looking good. And I think that's pretty obvious. It's not the way that it looked in April, but I think big picture, I don't see this being a long-lasting thing for the Padres. I think they eventually will pull themselves out of it. I think Arise will be better. I think Jackson will be better, and I think Toddy will be better as we move along.
Well, certainly Fernando starting to get it going. That would go a long way for this offense as a whole. Let's go back to a positive, and that has certainly been the guy in the mound today for the Padres, Tony, right-hander Ryan Bergert. First 2 starts in the major leagues have been really, really good. Your thoughts on what Ryan Bergert has done so far?
I've been really impressed with Ryan. I mean, he in each of those 2 starts that he's had, there's been an inning or 2 in which he got himself into some trouble. Some of it his own doing, some of it not. But in those moments, I thought it was nice to see him rebound. I think it was the 2nd and 3rd inning in the Giants start, gave up a few runs, but then settled in for the 4th and the 5th and some change after that. I think it was the same thing in Milwaukee. He had a kind of a rough patch. I think it was in the 3rd inning, but kind of got back in the right lane and then pitched well the rest of the way. And I think going through that type of adversity, although not something you want to have, is good for young pitchers. They got to figure out, and the fact that he did it against a Giants team that was hot at the time that Padres played them, and a Milwaukee team that was hot at the time the Padres played them, I think bodes well. Now, he'll have a different type of matchup here against this Diamondback team. This offense is really clicking, and we saw how well they're playing in last night's game.
Tony, let's talk about one player in particular with this Diamondbacks offense. And you're right, they're swinging the bats really well right now. And one of the guys that's leading the way, Corbin Carroll, at the very top of the lineup, an opposite field home run yesterday. And you look at some of the numbers, Tony, we know Corbin is one of the best young players in baseball, but the way he's playing so far this year, it's not just one of the best young players. He's playing like one of the best players in baseball, period, right now. You've had the chance to really see a lot of his major league career since he came up a couple of years ago. What stands out to you about Corbin Carroll, the player?
I think he's evolved, honestly. I think You know, he had a really successful rookie season, kind of came on the scene, got off to an extremely slow start last year, but finished on fire. He looked like the player that he was in his rookie year. And I think he went into this offseason with a game plan. He changed where he starts his hands. He changed kind of how he starts his hands and with the angle of the bat. And he's found a ton of success. He's almost presetting it in the firing position, whereas before I think it was kind of laid flat. And it's been an adjustment that has paid in a huge, huge way. I mean, he's the same player he was as a rookie, only better. A little more slug, a little bit more of a threat, less of a hole that he had prior. And so, yeah, he's a problem to deal with. That opposite field shot he had yesterday was really no joke. It got out here it got shot out like of a cannon, it seemed like.
Yeah, it's really impressive. And he's not a huge guy. To have that kind of opposite field power is really, really something. Tony, good insight as always. We'll talk to you and Jesse coming up at 4:05 p.m. As always, thanks so much.
No problem.
All right, Tony. Yeah, you too. Tony Gwynn Jr. joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network. Again, we go out to Jesse and Tony at 4:05 p.m. First pitch coming up at 4:15 for Game 2 of this 3-game series. A shout out to Dan tuning in from Paris, California, watching on YouTube right now. As always, if you want to get involved on our pregame coverage, you can do that in a number of different ways. You can find me on X at Sammy Lev, SammyLev. DMs open on Instagram, same handle there. If you want to comment on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube stream, let me know who you are, where you're tuned in from. If you have a key to today's game, you can say that as well. May just read your key to the game or give you a shout out at some point during the course of our pregame coverage. When we come back, we hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Plus, a little bit later, I go one-on-one with today's starting pitcher, Ryan Bergert. Much, much more to do on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network.
Stay tuned to the EcoWater SoCal.
Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for today's game. First pitch coming up at 4:15 between the Padres and the Diamondbacks in Arizona. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt coming up in just a little bit. First, a look at the starting lineups here today for the Padres. It looks like this. Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field leading off. Luis Arraez at first base batting second. Manny Machado at third base batting third. Jackson Merrill in center batting cleanup. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop batting fifth. Gavin Sheets in left field today batting sixth. Jake Cronenworth at second base batting seventh. Luis Campusano, the DH, batting eighth. Martin Maldonado is batting ninth, and Campy making his first start in a while. We'll have more on that coming up later. You'll hear from Mike Shildt on that in a moment with right-hander Ryan Bergert on the mound. Corbin Carroll leading off today for Arizona in right field. Ketel Marte at second base batting second. Geraldo Perdomo at shortstop batting third. Josh Naylor at first base batting cleanup. Eugenio Suarez at third base batting fifth. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. in left field batting sixth. Pavin Smith at DH batting seventh. Gabriel Moreno doing the catching batting eighth, and Alec Thomas in center batting ninth, with veteran right-hander Zach Gallen on the mound. With all that in mind, let's hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. He talks about the decision to start Luis Campusano today. A lot of injury updates here on Yu Darvish, on Brian Hoeing, on Jason Hayward. What's going on with those guys? Let's hear from the Padres skipper.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Served up by Sin Lee Food, where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
Got a DH in there today we haven't seen in a little while. How's Campy been doing, and the decision to go with him today?
He's been doing his work. He hadn't been able to get as much, and he got one at bat more recently against a position player, so that wasn't a great experience for probably either one of them. But it's an opportunity that the schedule presents itself. I mean, it's been less about Campy and it's been more about the moving parts of the group. And so, we've moved the Iglesias around. We've gotten guys off their feet, Bogey, Manny, Louie. Sheets has obviously done a great job, and we want him in the lineup. So he's occupied a lot of DH spots. So just really hadn't been as many opportunities. And today we afforded him one, and it's looking forward to it.
Is there a little element of you kind of need to, at some point?
Yes. 3 weeks. Yeah, you want to use your whole roster. I don't like anybody to sit. But it's also a league where you're putting your best foot forward every day with what you have. So sometimes the 13th man or 12th, 13th man on the position or on the pitching staff, doesn't get as many opportunities, and that's just part of it.
So report on the new Darvish today.
Just getting some of the reports, but they're favorable. Went over to the complex, do a simulated game. I'm not sure the volume of it. I did hear he's like up to 94 and felt good and came out of it good. So that's as much as I've heard in an abbreviated time.
What's next with it?
It's a good question. So, which is why you asked, right? What's next? We'll see how he recovers, and we'll talk to him about it. But there's a chance that he does another simulated type situation with more, being extended out a little bit more.
Do you think you'll see him before the All-Star break or after?
That's really where we're trending now. It's probably
Too early?
it's a little early, but it's a plus or minus on either side of it. But it's hard to say.
Mike, it seems like in St. Louis you had a different closer every year. But since you've been here, you've had Robert coming into the ninth inning. How comforting it is to see what he's been able to do these last 2 years.
That's great, right? I was fortunate to have some good closers. We had Reyes, who made an all-star team. Robert made the all-star team last year. Trending towards, it'd be stunning if he didn't make it again. But it's just so nice to, when you look and manage a game and look, you don't take for granted the ninth inning, but when you got the lead and that ninth inning's spoken for, and it's spoken for well, now you've only got to figure out how to cover ground to get there. And we also have some other guys that can cover that ground, and we utilize them as well. So, but it really does start with the back end of your bullpen and knowing that's something you can rely on. Did a great job.
Mike, where is Ryan Hoeing doing his progress?
He's in a good spot. He's getting to a spot where he's getting closer to being a Padre. And what that time frame looks like, I can't tell you specifically, but he's now in real competition, going through more of a normal progression from a reliever. Pitched last night. I don't know how he recovered today, but if he can continue to pitch, inning plus, day off, go pitch, and everything's coming out, he's ready to rejoin the club.
And then so far, so good with Hayward in his rehab assignment.
Yeah, DH last night, got 4 bats, I believe, and he's good. DH again today and get more opportunity.
The plan for Jason to get him the outfield, and then he's going DH.
I think that's going to be Tuesday. I think it's DH today, DH tomorrow, off day, Tuesday, play left field. It's more about getting at bats right now. I think we're all confident he plays good left field.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt earlier today inside the Padres dugout. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios. You heard the latest on Brian Hoeing there, who continues his rehab assignment at AAA El Paso. Sounds like good news on that front. Jason Hayward, DHing yesterday for AAA El Paso. Sounds like he also will have at least a few more days of that rehab assignment. And like you heard there earlier on, simulated game today for Yu Darvish at the complex in Peoria, and all the reviews from that to this point have been favorable. So good news for you, and we'll continue to pass along updates on those guys as we get them over the course of the next few days. First pitch coming up at 4:15 in Arizona. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
We're going to do who's hot, who's not a little bit differently today. Well, half of it a little bit differently today. The hot category, well, you guessed it. I feel like this has been the last couple of weeks at this point. Manny Machado is in the hot category alone. He's hitting .367 in the month of June with 4 home runs, 14 RBIs, and a .633 slugging percentage. The not category, well, pretty much everybody else as a collective. The rest of the Padres are hitting just .217 in the month of June with only 1 home run and a .282 slugging percentage. So hot is Manny Machado. Not the collective of everybody else is not doing great, even though there were some sparks of offense in that series against the LA Dodgers. That's a look at who's hot, who's not, as we get ready for game 2 of this 3-game series. Now let's take you around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Let's begin with a significant injury. The Mets' Kodai Senga was diagnosed with a grade 1 hamstring strain and put on the IL yesterday. He'll be reevaluated in a couple of weeks. Senga had been the Mets' best starter so far this season. A few notes from the out-of-town scoreboard today. Full look at the scoreboard coming up a little bit later. Clayton Kershaw on the mound for the Dodgers today. Dodgers and Giants tied for first place in the National League West starting today, with the Padres 2 games behind both those teams. Red Sox and righty Hunter Dobbins take on the Yankees today. Aaron Judge has 5 home runs in his last 5 games, including a game-tying home run against Garrett Crochet last night. Red Sox still won that game in 10. Judge leads baseball in batting average at .390, ranks second in RBI with 60, and is tied for first in home runs with 26. So here in mid-June, he is definitely on Triple Crown watch. And finally, Bruce the Bat Dog made his major league debut today for the Nationals. The Bat Dog was called up from AAA Rochester to make his debut in a pregame bat retrieval ceremony at Nationals Park. So I guess you could say the Nationals made an addition to their rougster. I tried. I don't know that I succeeded. That's a look at some of the headlines around the major leagues from yesterday and today. When we return, I go one-on-one with Padres right-hander Ryan Bergert on the mound today in Arizona. Much, much more to do. First pitch coming up at 4:15 here on the Padres Radio Network.
Hello, my friends. It's Wood.
Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for today's game. First pitch coming up at 4:15 p.m. here on the Padres Radio Network. Right-hander Ryan Bergert on the mound for the Padres and right-hander Zach Gallen on the mound for Arizona. We will talk plenty more about that pitching matchup coming up a little bit later. And in just a minute or two, I go one-on-one with the Padres right-hander making his third major league start. Go one-on-one with Ryan Bergert. First, let's update you on the injuries for both the Padres and the D-backs.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Well, we received a number of updates earlier from Mike Shildt on guys like Brian Hoeing, Jason Hayward, and Yu Darvish. Let's quickly recap that again. Yu Darvish throwing a simulated game earlier today at the Peoria complex, and so far so good as far as the reviews from that. I'm sure we'll hear more information on that in the next day or two. Jason Hayward began his rehab assignment with AAA El Paso. He's working his way back from a strained oblique, and he'll continue that rehab assignment, it sounds like, for the next few days. Brian Hoeing continues to rehab with AAA El Paso as well. He pitched last night. On the Diamondback side of things, we talked about this yesterday. They've been dealing with a ton of big pitching injuries. They've lost Corbin Burns for the year due to Tommy John surgery. Left-hander Jordan Montgomery out for the year due to Tommy John surgery. And then they got some really tough news yesterday. Justin Martinez, flame-throwing right-hander out of their bullpen, really promising arm. He will miss the rest of the season because of Tommy John surgery. So some very significant arm injuries for the D-backs. Padres, of course, also missing Michael King right now. No real update on what the timetable is going to be for Michael King as he continues to deal with that pinched nerve. And that's a look at the injuries for both the Padres and the D-backs. Both teams really dealing with a number of significant injuries right now, especially with their pitching staff. But what injuries do provide, a silver lining of them, is that they do provide opportunity for others. And one guy that has certainly taken advantage of that opportunity as of late, right-hander Ryan Bergert on the mound for the Padres here today. He's been very, very good in a starting role so far. We'll talk more about him a little bit later, but that last start against the Brewers in Milwaukee, 5 innings and a third scoreless, gave up just 1 hit. I talked to Ryan Bergert about his season so far earlier this week inside the Padres clubhouse.
Sam Levitt here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game. And right now I'm joined by Padres starting pitcher Ryan Bergert. Ryan, congratulations on a really nice start in Milwaukee. What's been a nice couple of starts to begin your major league starting career. How would you assess these first couple of starts in the major leagues?
You know, I think it's been good. Results have been good. You know, I've walked a few too many guys. You know, I obviously want to limit that. But overall, you know, I've been eating up some innings for the guys, you know. Some guys down, you know, important innings, trying to just help the team out any way I can. So,
what did you like about what you did your start in Milwaukee in particular?
Yeah, I think I got deep into the game, got out into the 6th, you know, put up some zeros. You know, that's the name of the game, get outs and put up zeros. So, yeah, got out of some little difficult situations, had some traffic, and made some big pitches and executed them. So,
obviously you want to put up zeros, but going deep into a game can also, just that by itself can provide a lot of value, especially this team playing a lot of close games right now. The bullpen's been pretty heavily used. From that perspective, how important is it, your mindset of just knowing with no matter what the results are, you just want to provide some length?
Right, for sure. I mean, that's one of the main goals of every start. You know, you're not planning on going out there and only going 3-4 innings. You know, you're planning on going 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 if pitch count allows it, like depending how efficient you are. So, yeah, just trying to help out the bullpen guys. They've been used a lot. They've been doing great, but obviously you want to help them out any way you can.
This season has been pretty interesting for you so far. You start in the minor leagues as a starter, then you come up, you're being used out of the bullpen, you go back down to AAA, make more starts. Now you're back here as a starter. How would you sum up what the first half of this season has been for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a bit of a roller coaster. You know, been thrown in some different spots, some spots I haven't been in a very long time, especially in the bullpen. But, you know, I'm just taking it one day at a time, trusting my routine and my process. And, you know, at the end of the day, I pitched when I'm told to, and I'm happy to do it. So
when you went back to AAA and got back into a starting role there, what was, I suppose, the most difficult part, if any, of getting back into that kind of groove? Yeah,
I mean, obviously pitch count, you know, going out, throwing 15 pitches, 17, 18, 19 at a time, and then going back into, you're going 3, 4, 5 innings, trying to get built back up. My main thing I try to work on down there was just, you know, making sure my body felt good, get stretched out, feel good going 5 innings, not, you know, feeling like my arm's falling off. So, you know, you want to take it slow and let the build-up process be good and thorough. So,
as a starting pitcher now in the major leagues, do you feel like there was a benefit to maybe getting your feet wet in a relief role, and now you come back up and maybe you're a little bit more acclimated than you would have been, say they called you up and you were right into a starting role?
For sure. You know, I think, you know, coming in here, getting those first few outings out of the way, and just being able to be around the guys in the clubhouse, get used to the environment of everything, because it's a lot different here than it is down in AAA. So, you know, I think that helped a lot. Calmed some nerves, got some familiarity with everyone, the team, the guys in the clubhouse. So I think as a whole, it helped a lot for sure.
Just from the life perspective, what's been the biggest difference of being in the major leagues?
Just flying from city to city on every 3 days or so, you know, 3 or 4 days. Short series is, you know, you're traveling different time zones all the time. But that's probably the biggest adjustment off the field, and obviously media publicity and all that stuff. It's something to get used to, but it's been good so far.
We're joined by Padres starting pitcher Ryan Bergert as we get ready for today's game. You mentioned the short series, and that really is something that is a big difference from the majors to the minors, and maybe something that people don't think about, the fact that in the minor leagues, at AAA included, you play these 6-game series now, typically with an off day on Monday, and now you're into the play 3 games, go to the next city, play 4 games, sometimes even 2 games, go to the next city. You're never facing the same opponent twice in a row. What is that adjustment like as a starter, knowing that, each time it's going to be a different team in a different city, and there could be a plane ride or 2 in between?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously different. Usually you kind of AAA, you get settled in for like the week, and here it's kind of like, oh, we play our 3 games and then we're out of here. So, I mean, it's enjoyable. It's just something new. I've been enjoying it. It's really fun. But yeah, obviously, like, I'm not throwing this week, so it's kind of fun just to sit and watch and have these guys throw and watch their process. So, and I'm getting ready for my start as well.
As far as watching these other guys throw, obviously you've got a lot of veterans around you, some that are on the IL right now, like King and Darvish, but you've got Pivetta through this week. You've got Cease throwing this week. What's been your takeaway from watching those types of guys?
Yeah, I like watching them go through their work, pregame and even days they're not throwing, like things they're doing, things they're working on, trying to pick their brain on like things I could add to my routine as well. And it's just been the funnest part, being able to talk to them and get to know them a little bit. So
you'll have this start coming up in Arizona. I'm sure you've taken a look at their lineup, maybe watch some video, stuff like that. Early takeaways from what that lineup is.
Yeah, I think they're really, really good ball club, from top to bottom of the lineup. I think it'll be a good test for me and myself, but, I'm excited to throw and go out there and do my thing. So,
well, Ryan, great job so far in a starting role. As always, thanks so much for the time, and we'll talk to you again down the line.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by El Centro Motors Ford. Meet your new Ford General Manager, Greg Ryan, now at El Centro Motors Ford, your new Ford truck, Bronco, and SUV HQ. Call Greg directly at 619-944-0774.
Key number 1, slow down the D-backs offense. Arizona has scored 28 runs in their 4-game win streak. I'll do the math for you. That's 7 runs per game. They have a number of guys swinging the bat really well right now. Corbin Carroll sitting .303 with 4 home runs and 9 RBIs in his last 9 games. Carroll hit his 20th home run of the season yesterday, which now ranks 5th in the major leagues, only behind Aaron Judge, Cal Raleigh, Shohei Ohtani, and Kyle Schwarber. How about this? Carroll is on pace for 47 home runs this season. He hit 25 and 22 in his first 2 major league seasons. Ketel Marte hitting .319 with 9 home runs during a 25-game on-base streak. Josh Naylor is 9 for 15 with 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and 9 RBIs during Arizona's 4-game winning streak, and he had a home run last night. So slowing down this D-back offense, that's key number 1. Key number 2, Padres offense needs to step up. Now, I'm not trying to pile on here. I'm not trying to be all doom and gloom, but these are the numbers right now for the Padres offense. It just is what it is. Padres offense has a .632 OPS this month, 3rd lowest in the majors. They scored just 1 run last night, just 2 base runners after the 3rd inning on a walk and a single. Let's take it a little bit further. Padres are just 11 and 15 in their last 26 games. In that span, the Padres rank last in runs per game in the major leagues at 3.2 runs per contest. They also have the lowest team batting average at .218 and also the lowest team OPS in the majors at .613. Hey, they got to get the offense going. That is key number 1 right now for this team. It's key number 2 in today's game. Key number 3, let's stay on the offense. Fernando building some momentum. Fernando Tatis Jr. had 2 hits last night, walked, and he just missed a home run that would have been out of Petco Park. He has 4 hits and 5 walks in his last 4 games, and he said he's definitely feeling better, and now it's a matter of staying consistent. Can Fernando continue to take steps forward out of that leadoff spot? That's key number 3, and that's a look at our keys to today's game. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
Plenty of finals already today. Braves beat the Rockies 4-1. A's beat the Royals 4-0 in Kansas City. Astros beat the Twins 3-2. Cam Smith walked it off for the Astros in that one in the bottom half of the ninth inning. Phillies beat the Blue Jays 3-2 in Philadelphia. Orioles beat the Angels 6-5 in Baltimore. Cubs beat the Pirates 2-1 at Wrigley. Reds beat the Tigers 11-1 in Detroit. Marlins beat the Nationals 4-3 in D.C. Games going on right now. Rangers 4, White Sox 3 in Arlington in the 8th inning. Rays lead the Mets 7-4 in New York in the 6th inning. Cardinals lead the Brewers 7-4 in Milwaukee in the 8th inning. Games yet to begin. Yankees and the Red Sox at Fenway at 4:15. Guardians and the Mariners in Seattle at 6:40. Giants and the Dodgers in L.A. at 7:10. Much more on all those games coming up on our post-game coverage. When we come back, we tell you one player to keep an eye on in today's lineup, and we preview today's starting pitching matchup between Ryan Bergert and Zach Allen. First pitch coming up at 4:15 on the Padres Radio Network.
You're listening.
Welcome back to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal keeping it soft since 1925. First pitch coming up at 4:15 in Arizona. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. We'll take a look at today's starting pitching matchup in just a moment. But first, let's tell you what to watch for.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in today's game. Hey, Campy, what you got? Luis Campusano will make his first start since May 31st today. In fact, since that day in the Padres' last 12 games, Campusano has one at bat. It came the other night against a position player in Kike Hernandez. Interesting note, Luis Campusano has a home run against D-back starter Zach Gallen in his career. That came back in 2022. His only hit against Gallen in 6 career at bat. So what to watch for in today's game? Luis Campusano getting an opportunity to start. The at-bats have been few and far between since he's come back to the major leagues for Luis, but he has an opportunity today to make an impact and force the Padres to put him in that lineup more. So Luis Campusano, his performance today, batting 8th and DHing. That is what to watch for in today's game 2 of this 3-game series. Let's look at our pitching matchup between young right-hander Ryan Bergert and veteran righty Zach Gallen.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Ryan Bergert on the mound for the Padres today, 25 years old. He's 1-0, a 1.26 ERA in 6 outings so far in his major league career. He's made 2 starts, 14-plus innings, struck out 8 and walked 6. His first 2 major league starts have been really good, through 5 1/3 scoreless innings. Against the Brewers in his last start, allowed just 1 hit, allowed 2 runs in 5 innings. In his first career start against the Giants back on June 3rd, Bergert's most effective pitch has been his slider so far. Opponents are just 1 for 15 against it so far this season. Right-hander Zach Gallen on the mound for Arizona. 2025 has been the worst year of his career to this point. 14 starts, a 5.15 ERA, 80 innings and a third, 36 walks. That's actually the most allowed in the National League so far this year. Last start against the Reds in Cincinnati, 6 2/3 innings, 4 earned runs given up, 3 home runs allowed. Gallen has a 6.17 ERA in his last 6 starts. He's allowed 8 home runs and 37 hits in just 35 innings. He also has a 6.38 ERA and 8 home starts this season. He has a sub-4 ERA on the road, so it has not gone well for him at home in particular, but typically he has been good against the San Diego Padres in 12 career starts against them, a 2.52 ERA in his career. And that's a look at our starting pitching matchup. Zach Gallen on the mound for Arizona and Ryan Bergert on the mound for San Diego. As always, thank you for listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Your water should be perfect. Well, the Padres losing the series opener in Arizona yesterday. They've lost 3 out of their last 4 games. Padres scoring just 1 run in yesterday's game. Can they get the offense cooking here today? Well, we're going to find out. When we return, we go out to Arizona. Jesse Ackler, Tony Gwynn Jr. standing by, ready to go. They have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and then all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.